Module 4, lesson number 18. The directions ask us to multiply using fraction form and unit form. And then we're going to check our answer by counting the decimal places. The first one's done for us. So if you need to take a look at A, you can take a look at that. I'm going to jump right into it following the steps of A on B here. So let's take a look. We have 3.3, which is 3 and 3/10, can also be written as 33/10. And then we're multiplying that by 0.8, which is 8/10. So we know that we're going to have tenths times tenths equals hundredths. So we need to figure out, well, how many hundredths are we going to have? We need to multiply 33 times 8. Well, 3 times 8 is 24. Now we have 8 times 3/10 is 24/10 plus 2/10 equals 26/10. And we know that these were tenths, so tenths times tenths equals hundredths. Don't forget your THS. And we know that our answer is going to be 264 hundredths. So this 4 has to be in the hundredths place. That means this 6 is in the tenths place, which means our decimal is going to go right there. And that's our answer. All right, let's move on and pick up the pace here. We have 44 tenths times 32 tenths. I know tenths times tenths is going to give me hundredths. So now I need to say, well, 44 times 32. It asks us to do unit form as well. So I'm going to create this or turn this into unit form by adding my words. Remember, unit form is the number and the place value in word form. So let's go ahead. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 4 tens is 8/10. 3/10 times 4 is 12/10. Regroup my 1. 3/10 times 4/10 is 1200 plus my 100 equals 1300. Add those together, we get 8. Remember, cross that out. 10, regroup, 4, and 1. Now I have tenths times tenths equals hundredths. So I know this is going to be 1,408 hundredths. And that's going to be 1,408. And this 8 has to be in the hundredths place. So if the 8 is in the hundredths place, that means the 0 is in the tenths place, the 4 is in the ones place. My decimal is going to be there, and it's going to be equal to 14 and 8 hundredths. Write that in next to our answer. All right, so for D here, let's take a look at D. So we have 22 tenths. If you're still confused on how I got that 22 tenths, remember the 2, this second 2 here is in the tenths place. This is in the ones place. But I know I can't have 22 in the tenths place, so it would be 22 tenths because I have my 2 in my tenths place and my second 2 in my ones place. And that's how we would write it as a fraction. All right, let's go. 16 tenths. Tenths times tenths equals hundredths. Let's write that out. 22, 16, that's tenths times tenths. We said it's going to equal hundredths, but let's walk through this. 6 times 2, 12. Some people are still saying 6 times 2, which is fine if you want to do that, 6 times 2. But remember, really, this is in the tens place here. So that's 6 times 2 tens equals 12 tens plus 1 10 equals 13 tens. All right, and the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of people are getting confused and saying 1 times 2 and putting that 2 here. That is incorrect. Remember, this is really 1 in the tens place times 2. So if you had 110 and then you doubled that, you would have 20. Then if you had 110 and you multiplied that by 2 tens, you would have 200. All right, so now we have our partial products. Let's add those up. We have 2, 5, and 3. Now we know that that's hundredths. So it's going to be equal to 3.52. 3 and 52 hundredths. Let's go ahead and walk through this. We just said that this, when we multiply these two numbers, we got 356 hundredths, and it's equal to the same thing we had here. All right, moving on to the next problem. Multiply using fraction form and unit form. The first one is partially done for you. So we do have something we need to jump in and finish here. They finished all of the fraction form, but we need to finish the unit form. All right, so let's take a look at that. So we have 4 times 6, well, 4 times 6 is 24, my 2 right there. 4 times 3 tens is 12 tens, plus 2 tens is 14 tens. Finish with that too. 4 times 3 hundredths is 12 hundredths, plus 100 is 1300. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Now we have 110 times 6 is 6 tens. Then we have 110 times 3 tens is 3 hundredths. Then we have 110 times 300 is 3,000. So let's go ahead and add that up now. Finish with those regrouping. Let's say 4, 6 plus 4 is 10, or 6 tens plus 4 tens is 10 tens, which is equal to 100. And you have 300 plus 300 plus 100 equals 700. 3,000 plus 1,000 is 4,000. So we know our answer is 4,704. Now look, we had hundredths, which would have 2 zeros, and we had tenths, which would have 1 zero. So we know we would have 3 zeros, and that would make it thousandths. All right. Let's take a look at B here. So now we have 335 hundredths times 7 tenths. Well, let's go ahead and multiply it. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 3 is, 5 times 3 tens is 21 tens, plus 3 tens equals 24 tens. 7 times 300 is 2100, plus 200 equals 2300. If he's confused when I'm saying that, you can still do the standard way that most of us probably learn in elementary school, where you say 5 times 7 is 35, and 5 times 3 is 21, plus 3 is 24, and then 7 times 3 is 21, plus 2 more is 23. And I'm not sure if I said 5 times 7 or 5 times 3, but that was 5 times 3 is 21 plus 3. All right, so either way, we're going to come up with this number here. And remember, we have hundredths and tenths, so that's 1 and 2. That's 3 zeros, so that's going to be thousandths. Move that out of the way. And thousandths is 3 times over, so we know we need to move that 3 places over, counting our decimal places. So again, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. All right. Same thing here. We already did the multiplication, so we're just going to rewrite that as I skipped that middle step. I skipped this step here of rewriting it. I'm just going to write in my product of 335 times 7 equals 2,345 over 1,000. It's going to be equal to our answer here. Our answer there. All right, picking up the pace a little bit. This is in the hundreds place, so that's going to be over 100. 32, my 2 is in the tenths place, so that's going to be over 10. I got to do my multiplication here. I know that this is going to be hundredths, and this is going to be tenths. I'll multiply it out. I'm just going to do the standard way. 2 times 4, 8. 2 times 0, 0. 2 times 4, 8. Then with my ones place, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 0 plus 1 is 1. 3 times 4 is 12 again. So let's take a look at that. Add those partial products up. 8, 2, 9, 2, 1. And I know it's going to be thousands. So I'm going to take this number, move it over tenths, hundredths, thousands. That's going to be my answer. Let's go ahead and multiplication here again. We said that was 12,928 over 1,000. And it's going to give us our same number here because you can see the 12,928 thousandths, and that means I'm going to move it over 3 times, and this decimal, excuse me, the comma will become a decimal. Excuse me, the decimal would be in the place of where the comma is in our fraction. All right, looking at D, you have 44 tenths times 16 hundredths. So now we have tenths times hundredths. So tenths has 1 0, hundredths has 2 zeros. So that's going to be 3 zeros for our thousandths. Let's multiply. So we have 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 4 is 24 plus 2 is 26. And we have 1. We have a 0 in our ones place here because we're done with our ones now. This is 110. So 1 times 4, 110 times 4 is 40. 110 times 4 tens is 400. All right, now changed it back up a little bit going to my place value, but hopefully you get the drift. If not, see me in class and we can discuss that. All right, I have 4 plus 0, 6 plus 4, regroup my 1. That's 5, 4 plus 1 plus 2 is 7. I have 704, and that's going to be 704 with 3 zeros, 2 for my hundredths, and 1 for my tenths. So that's 1, 2, 3. Sometimes I'll say tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and my answer is going to be 0 and 704 thousandths. We said 44 times 16 is 704. And it's going to be over 10 times 100, which is 1,000. Give us our fraction form. All right. This video is starting to get a little long here, so I'm going to wrap up with this last one, and hopefully you will be able to finish the rest on your own if you didn't do so already. So let's take a look at 3, I believe this is 3A, B, C, and D. The first one is done for us, so we're not going to do that. We do have to do some multiplication here. And remember, we talked about when we see this right here, we can do some basic rounding or estimating. We can say this is around 2, right? 2.3 is around 2, and 2.1 is also around 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. We know our answer is going to be around 4. Our final answer, whatever goes here, is going to be around 4. Let's go ahead and test that theory out. We know that tenths times tenths is going to give us hundredths. We know it's going to be hundredths, so we're going to have to move over 2 place value units. So let's multiply. 1 times 3, 1 times 2. Then we have 2 times, remember, don't forget your 0. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 2 is 4. I'm going to add those two together. If you don't put your 0 there, you're going to come up with this. And remember, because this 2 is in the tenths place, this is my tenths place, and this is my ones place. Excuse me, my tens place, and this is my ones place. 460 is 10 times greater than 46. So your partial product, your second partial product is going to be 10 times less than the actual number if you do it this way. That's incorrect. Make sure you are paying attention there. You got to add that 0 in because we're done with the ones place. Or you can say because you are multiplying 2 tens times 3. If you had 2 tens, that's $20, and you had 3 20s, that would be $60, and that's the 60 right there. All right, let's back to addition. 3, 8, 4. That's an 8. Excuse my 8 there. And that's 483 hundredths. So this has to be in the hundredths place. So if that's in the hundredths place, it's going to be hundredths, tenths, ones. So my number is going to go right there. Excuse me, my decimal is going to go right there between my 4 in my ones place and my 8 in my tenths place. All right, so I know that I know that 7 times 3 is equal to 21. So my answer should be around 21. All right, let's see. This checked out. This was around 4, right? So let's see here. Let's do our standard algorithm using the unit form. So that is, excuse me, I'll put the decimal in. I wasn't supposed to. It should be 741, and the 1 is in the hundredths place, times 34, and that 4 is in the tenths place, times 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, 4 times 7 is 28, plus 1 is 29. And then I have 3 times 1, but remember that 3 is really 30 times 1, which would give me 30. Then I have 3 times 4, which is 12. That's my one that I regrouped. Then I have 3 times 7, which is 21, plus 1 equals 22. When I add these together, let's get rid of that. I get 4, 9, 9, 10, 11, 4, 5, and 2. So now I know that it's hundredths times tenths equals going to be thousandths. So this is going to be over 1,000. It is 25,194. And this 4 has to be in the thousands place. So it's going to be similar to our last C in the last problem, where this 4 is in the thousands place. And it's going to give me 9 in my hundreds place, 1 in my tenths place, my decimal, my 5's in my ones place, and my 2 is in my tens place. All right, so I have 25 and 194 thousandths. That would be our final answer, and that is around 21, right? So that is around 21. It's not too far from 21. Remember, our other options would be, if we didn't move this decimal correctly, our other options would have been 251.94 or 2.519.4. And we know those aren't anywhere near 21. This is the closest option to 21. Let's take a look at D, and we're going to call it a wrap. We're at about 20 minutes here already. So we have 650. We could call this thousands, or we can get rid of it and call it tenths. But since we have it in there, let's just go ahead and call it, excuse me, we could call this hundreds, or get rid of this 0 because it's just a placeholder. We don't have any hundreds, so we could just call it tenths. So I'll do it both ways. So we have 650 hundredths times 45 tenths. We're going to say 5 times 0. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 2 is 32. And then we have 4 times 0 is 0. And then we have 4 times 5 is 20. And 4 times 6 is 24, plus 2. We have 5, 0, 5, 2, 9, 2. All right, so let's take a look at that here. So we know that this is hundredths times, hundredths times tenths is going to give us 1,000. So thousandths will be our answer. And we will write that as 0.59292. Roll it backwards. This has to be in my thousandths place. That means this is my hundredths. That's my tenths. So there's going to be my decimal. And the answer is 29 and 250 thousandths. Or we can also call that 29 and 25 hundredths. All right. And if we wanted to check that, we could do that by using our fraction form and saying, well, 650 hundredths times, let's move this out of the way, 45 tenths. We know that's going to be over 1,000. And we said that that would be 650, excuse me, not plus. We want other operation sign similar to that, but we're going to turn it on its side. Times 45, and it gives us the same thing. Well, it would give us, technically, it would give us the unit form, which would be 29,250. All right, hope this helps. We're at a little bit over 21 minutes. Try to get this video out a little bit earlier. Remember, this is lesson 18, and hopefully you are able to solve these problems on your own and use this as a guidance just to kind of double check your work. Either way, continue to work hard, and I will see you tomorrow.